welcome back to Mary Beth Reads. I'm Mary Beth. I'm a 29-year-old avid reader, full-time attorney, part-time author assistant, semi-functioning human, and apparently soon to be a mom, which we're not talking about because it's actually very terrifying when I think about that. So we just compartmentalize that for now. I have been so excited to film this video. I simply love a good reset. So I wanted to do like a bookish monthly reset and talk through all of the various things that I do kind of at the start of each month in terms of my book content, my work content, and just kind of my life in general. This is going to be very much a sit down, chatty, yappy vlog. I've got my coffee here in my, it's not smut, it's literature with a C at the start. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, so you can read it for yourself. So get yourself a coffee, a tea, a water, a juice, whatever you want, and let's reset for the month of March. I definitely just rammed that into my tooth. I mainly use two platforms to organize my bookish life and my regular life, and that is Notion and Airtable. So I'm gonna kind of give you a brief tour of my Notion. My Airtable has a ton of like client information, so I'm probably not gonna go through that too heavily, but I will talk a little bit about what I do there. And I figured I could walk you through my various databases and how I use them to try to keep myself organized. Truthfully, at the start of this week, I was so freaking excited to film this video because it was beautiful. It was in the 60s, which I'm in Ohio, so that's very nice in March. Sun was shining. It was a little windy, but like we could get through it. The bangs did not survive much of the wind, but most of my life, it was very nice. And then I woke up and there's an inch of snow on the ground and it's freezing and I'm not pleased, but we're gonna power through. I am pretending that it is still warm and sunny and that I have good lighting and I'm not using a bunch of artificial lighting and a horrible, I'm gonna put up a picture of what my tripod looks like right now because my tripod is at my old house and I need to go get it this weekend. This is what we're working with. We don't have our lights. We don't have anything. We're really just roughing it over here. I figured we could go through brainstorm my March TBR based off of my 2025 TBR goal, and I can also give you an update on how that is going. I can give you a very brief, quick review of all of the books I read in February. Spoiler alert, there were not many. It was a very busy month. We were selling a house. And then we can kind of do a quick look into resetting like the business side of things for me, whether that's my regular content or my Legends content, and just kind of like what I do at the start of each month for that. I am very new to this whole screen recording thing and like splitting my screen, so bear with me while I attempt to do that. So this is my home-based dashboard. It just kind of gives you an overview of some other dashboards that we're going to go through, but it does also kind of go through my February goals, which we can touch on very quickly. I set these kind of just on my own as things I wanted to get done for the month. And so let's see what I did. Let's see if I actually accomplished any of these. I did do my pelvic floor exercises and stretches. We did pack and move. This was a hopeful thing because I wasn't sure if we would sell our house. And we did. I am fairly certain I did not do this. I certainly didn't track it. So I don't feel good about checking that one off. And I wanted to make sure I spent a day or a couple days with my friend Rachel, who is going away for the next month. So I did get to spend some time with her. She was amazing and also helped me move, which is beautiful. On the bookish side of things, I did not read all of my books on my February TBR. We'll get into that here soon. I did post one YouTube video a week, which I was very proud of, and one of those was a day in the life vlog. And I would say I did a decent job of sharing more lifestyle content, but like at the same time, I didn't share a ton of content in general. So this one, I think there's room for improvement on. This is editing Mary Beth coming in to let you know that I realized I didn't film myself actually typing out my March, like just normal monthly goals. So I am going to put them on the screen here, but I do want to start. I have a breastfeeding course that I would like to get started on. I want to be better about meal prepping, and especially meal prepping like protein-based snacks, because I literally eat everything in sight. I ate an entire loaf of bread in like 2 days. So we need to find protein and stop solely eating carbs. So that's a big one. I also am really focused on moving my body at least 10 minutes a day. I have stretches that I'm trying to do every single day to help me not feel like
a beached whale. And so I need to at least do those. But then on top of that, working out, we have a Peloton. So I want to work out on my Peloton a couple days a week. And I also want to take my dogs for WALKS's. Cannot say it out loud because they are behind me. If you know, you know. And I need to buy more maternity clothes because I am officially hating everything that I own. So we're just going to bite the bullet and buy it. And then for my bookish and creator goals, I would like to actually complete all of my books on my TBR. I only have like 6 or 7 on them, so I think I can do that. And I do want to reach 300 subscribers. I know this is out of my control, but like I'm at 293 right now, so I feel like I'm really hopeful that I can get 7 more people in the next month, but if I don't, I will not be disappointed. I also am going to run a March Madness bracket challenge with my book besties over on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you absolutely should. I am at Mary Beth Reads and we have a great time. But I am going to run a bookish March Madness bracket challenge, and there's nothing bookish about it, but it's just going to be like put in, you know, like $5, and then the top 3 will get like respective bookish gift cards. That's kind of going to be it. But I do think that'll be really fun, and I want to get ahead on filming my content. So I just wanted to sneak that in here because I love goal setting and I love checking things off of lists.
And then I also just have YouTube, my content schedule. This is just like a brief overview of what's upcoming. I have the same for my Instagram and TikTok. As you can see, I really have a lot planned out for the coming month there. And I track my arcs on this page as well, so anytime I open the page up, I am able to see that. Next, we will check out my bookish dashboard. This is probably my most used dashboard out of everything, and I have it set up for the month of February, so you can see kind of how it looks at the end of a month, and then we'll go ahead and reset it for the month of March once we go through everything. I have a lot of various pages that shoot off of this. So my 2025 reads, where I track all of my reads, which I have a shorter version of this on the main page, my book release calendar, which is not up to date, my ARC list. This is my 2025 series tracker progress. And then I also track all of my monthly TBRs. And then I just have a couple old pages. This TBR is so out of date, it's not even funny. So I don't know why it's still on here, but I do have a page for that. And then each of these has like a little spot on the main page. So we'll kind of go through each of those. At the top here, we've got our monthly TBR. So this is the TBR I set for February. I actually made a video of that. As you can see, I didn't do the best. I didn't do the worst. It certainly could have been worse. So I did stick to the TBR and only read the books on my TBR. I just didn't read that many books. I read one other book. What did I read? Oh, this is a book I started in January and didn't finish until February. How do you track that? Do you track that as a February read or a January read? I've always tracked it as a February read, like the month I ended the book is when I say that I read it. But on my TBR, I do have some priority markings for my arcs that I have. So for example, like you can see, if I didn't read Wildside yet, it jumps to the top. So that my priority books are always at the top. And then once I read it, it jumps down to the bottom. And I track a little bit of the genres, where I can get it, if I own it, or if it's on KU, or if it's Audible, or whatever. So I do have a little bit of tracking there. Then I do keep just a quick list of my current reads over here. This is just really more so I can keep track of what's going on in my life. Actually, this is out of date because I finished this book. I am currently reading Beautiful Exile, and that is an arc. So I keep track of those, and then I have my arc list here, so I can take you to this page. This is where I track, anytime I sign up for an arc, I will add a new page to this and put it there. And then once I get approved, I check this box. If I don't get approved, then I take it off. And I just have this sorted by release date so that I can keep up with everything I've done. And then once I read it, post to Goodreads, post to Amazon, and post on social, then it gets moved over to this page, which is just kind of like my database. And if I do choose to DNF, then it would automatically come off of the page, which is kind of nice. I have that all set up, so it's very simple. Then I have this month's reads, so I have a list of the books that I've read off of my 2025 calendar. I keep track of them here. This has a lot more information tracked on it, so not only do I track obviously the date I read it, the title and the author, I put my ratings here. I put the format I've read them in. If someone were to have referred me the book, I will put that in here as well. Then I track my arcs. If it's a reread, did I post on various platforms, and the genre and tropes. And this I get pretty detailed. Like you can see pirates, fantasy, like here's all of the options I have already. And like if I read something that I don't have on there, I add it to the list. My book release calendar is very out of date. Let's go back and see a month where I actually had books. So you can see, you know, when I have books coming out, then I put them on here. I track this more in my Airtable now, so I don't quite use this as often, but it does still have a place here. And finally, my series tracker. So for 2025, I set a goal to finish series that I've already started. And in order to track that, I needed to come up with some sort of easy to use tracker. So basically, I'll take you to the big page of this. This is what it looks like in full size, and you can see I have whatever I'm currently reading goes here. If it's on my TBR for the month, it goes here. My long TBR, so this is all of the books I have left to read, here in this column. And then if it's something I've completed, I put it here. And then I do have a couple books on this list that are, actually this one got released. This is no longer not released. So then I can move them around to wherever they go. And what's really nice is like if I start Lady of Shadows, I can just move it right there, or I can put it back. And then I've got a data tracker where I can track like when did I finish the book. I can track various numbers. You can see there's a lot of books on here. So I have a total of 182 books on this list. And so sometimes what I'll do is like filter this by completed. So then you can see I have like 79 books that I've already completed. But then I can also track and see like by what month I completed them. So like in January, I only completed 4. And in February, I completed 4. So you can kind of just like use this to look at where I stand. So you can see since I started this goal, I have completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 books. So it's slow progress, but we're making it. But this has been like my pride and joy. It took me a very long time to put this all together, and I love it very much. Like I said, the month of February was not my best reading month. I will definitely not say it was the best. We were very busy and I just didn't have a ton of time to sit down and read, but it wasn't the worst. I read 6 books in total, and I'm very proud of that, to be completely honest. So let's get into each one that I read. First up, I read The Ever King and The Ever Queen, which is a duology by L.J. Andrews. The Ever King was a reread, and I definitely, the second time through, loved it just as much as I did the first time. This duology follows Eric and Livia, who are from rival kingdoms. Eric has a vendetta against Livia's father because their kingdom has been blocked by what's called the chasm. He finds a way to get through it, and he kidnaps Livia, who is the daughter of his enemy. And things, you know, progress in the way that they often do when someone is kidnapped in a fantasy romance novel. This is my take on this series. The first book was so freaking good. I had such a good time reading it. Like, I really truly love that book so much. I felt like the second book dragged on. I just felt like maybe it needed to just not be as long. Like, I almost wish it would have just been a little bit longer single book instead of a duology. So the second book was a little bit more of a disconnect for me. Overall, I still think it's a fun series, and L.J. Andrews continues on with characters. That's like kind of how she writes books. She writes like little mini duologies, it seems. So while these 2 story is done, she's going to move on to the next set of characters within this same world. So I'm very excited to read those. But the second book just fell a little flat for me. It just wasn't really my favorite. My next read was Daylight by Isla Sikorsky. She is a client of mine, and I read an arc of her second book, which just came out, and you should go read it. I talked about it a lot in my author day in the life video, and it was so freaking good. She just writes like the coziest small town romance books that you will ever find. Like, they just make you want to move to the place that she is writing about. And I want to move to Marymount. I need to drink my coffee. This book followed Gwen and Miller. Gwen is the owner of the local coffee shop. Miller is a single dad who ends up living in the apartment above the coffee shop because they have a flooding issue at his apartment. So he and his daughter move into the apartment above Gwen's coffee shop, and things just progress in the way that you would want them to. He's actually younger than her, which I kind of enjoyed that dynamic. And being a single parent, though, he's so much more mature. There's a lot of forced proximity because obviously she like sees them a lot and they can get to the coffee shop very easily. And his little daughter Penelope is so cute. I also know Isla has a daughter who I believe is around the same age as Penelope. And I'm fairly certain there was some inspiration taken there because she was just so stinking cute. And Isla's daughter is adorable. So it was just overall such a fun read. It's a good spicy read if you're looking for just like a spicy, cozy, small town romance. Next, I finished City of Souls and Sinners by Kayla Edwards, which is book 2 in the House of Devils series. This was another reread and it just hits. Every time it just hits. It's so good. I just want to devour this entire series. Like, I'm actually listening to the 3rd one now and they're so good. This is an urban fantasy series that follows Loren and Darian. Loren is a mortal or a human, which is what a mortal is. Why would you say that? Loren is a mortal and she lives in this magical world of Angelthine where everybody has powers except for the humans, and she is kind of seen as like a second-class citizen to an extent, but she is the adopted daughter of I think he's like the general of the army. I don't know. He's like a higher up in their military, is what we'll say. And her sister is a witch, right? Her sister is magic, her adopted sister. And so the two of them are starting at Angelthine Academy, which is a university there. And stuff pops off, let me tell you. There ends up being a hit put out on her, and Darian is the bounty hunter who gets asked to find her. And when he finds her, instead of unaliving her, he decides to protect her because he realizes that like something big is happening, and like why would someone value a mortal's life at like a very large sum of money? And so their friendship progresses. Darian is a Hellsayer, and he is like the super all-powerful type being where he can use what's called the sight to track people by their auras, and then they're like super strong and fast. And he's a part of a gang called the Seven Devils, who are a gang of bounty hunters, and they're like the top dogs in Angelthine. And yeah, so this is book 2 in that series. It's very interesting. I love the urban fantasy setting. It's newer to me. I haven't read that many books in this setting, and it's so much fun. So much fun. The 3rd book I'm reading for the first time, and I'm having a blast. I'm very concerned, but I'm also having a blast. Then I read Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This was an arc that I read for the month of March, and Elsie just can write a grocery list, and I will eat it up. That's just all you need to know. This is a marriage of convenience book. Oh wait, I have this book. I can hold it. I read Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I can hold it while I talk to you. Marriage of convenience is not traditionally my favorite trope. I just don't buy it all the time in contemporary romance. I sometimes like it, sometimes don't. It just really depends. It's hit or miss for me. Elsie made me love it. I loved this book so much. Truly loved it. Also, as you can tell by the cover, he's a professional wrestler, which I was not sure about. I did like a short on like, are we sure? But like, we're sure. We're sure. I think I'm a WWE fan now. I'm not really sure how this works. Maybe I should start a club. I don't know. But this book was so much fun. Single parents, kind of both single parents, but in like non-traditional ways. Marriage of convenience, just so freaking good. Like a very, very grumpy Sunshine, which I just love. Elsie writes such a good grumpy Sunshine. So this book is now out. You should go read it. And the last book that I finished in February was Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rourke. This was also a reread. I did it on audio, and the audiobook was really fun. Lady of Darkness is very much a like high fantasy set in an old-fashioned world where Scarlet is an assassin. She was trained with her 2 adopted sisters by the Assassin Lord to become kind of this ultra mega unaliver, and they often go and unalive fae who make it into the human realm. And something horrible happens, and so she kind of just like shuts down from the world and goes into kind of like into hiding, but like everyone knows where she is, but just like no one knows who she is. The book kind of starts there, And then you find out that all of these kids are going missing, and so they're trying to figure out why the kids are going missing, and this new player comes into the game and he's hot. Do you even need to know anything else? Like that's all you need to know. Everyone is badass, everyone is amazing, and it was so good. The reread hit. I'm so excited. The second book will be on my March TBR. Okay, so I've set my March TBR. I think this is an achievable TBR, especially because I'm filming this and have already read this book. So, and I've started this book. So we're off to a good start, but I do have an arc of Beautiful Exile by Catherine Cowles, which I need to read. It comes out later this month, so I wanted to make sure that that was on my list. And like I said, I'm currently reading that one, so that shouldn't be a problem. This is the third book in the House of Devils series I was talking about, and I did end up getting it on Audible. I didn't know it came out like the day after I filmed a video where I said I wish it came out on audio, and then it came out like the next day. So I was very excited. And then the next day I had an Audible credit renew, so I was able to pick that up and start reading it immediately. Like I said, I also would really like to jump into Lady of Shadows. I have this through my local library on audio, so I will be reading that. So the one that I did read is Just My Luck by Lena Hendricks, which is a small town romance. And then I also wanted a non-small town romance since I have two of them. So I added a billionaire romance, Bright Lights and Summer Nights by Kat Singleton. All of these are on my finishing my series except for this arc here. This was on my TBR last month and I just didn't get to it, but I do want to read Prince of Sins and Shadows by Emily Blackwood. And I want to finish the LJ Andrews series that I was going through. So this is the last one that's currently out right now, The Mist Thief. And it follows a different character in that series. So now I can go to my bookish dashboard and I'm going to update this to come from March 2025. And my sorts should still be set. Yep. So now that'll show up like that on my monthly TBR, and I'm gonna update this to this month. And I can add in Just My Luck. I didn't even add that in. Just My Luck. I gave that 5 stars. I actually do own the physical book of this, but I read the ebook. And I did a Goodreads in a social post, and small town. There we go. I do this for tracking, so if I wanted to be like, how many small town romances did I read? I could like go and track that. I didn't do this last year, but then I need to update this to the 4th. So there you go. Now you can see how I finish it. I already moved it on this tracker, so it's all set there. But that is my bookish update. Last on the list on Notion is my content planner. This is where I track both my Instagram and TikTok content as well as my booktube content. I don't use this page enough as I should. Honestly, Instagram and TikTok have just been kind of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of life. But I do want to go in and update my numbers. I track my growth every month just for the sake of seeing how I've grown. So I am going to do that really quick. I also want to show this because I want you to see that like growth can be very slow, and that's okay. So like on my Instagram, I have just like barely been trucking along. So this just kind of gives you like a good overview of like my growth is very slow, and that's okay. That's okay. But it does help me see that like I am growing and like my time does go towards something. I can update this. Yay. I'm on the road to 500 subscribers. And I also need a lot more watch hours to get monetized, but we're working on it. The one dashboard that actually does have a decent amount of content on here is my booktube dashboard. This is where I track all of the content that I have planned for the month. So you can see I try to really post my content consistently on Fridays. Here's what I want to film, and then sometimes I'll even script out, even though I don't say this word for word, it just helps me kind of think through what I'm going to say. And so I'll put that stuff on here. And then as I go through things, as I'm editing, filming, ready to go, whatever, I can update it. And you can see here like the old ones that I've already posted. And then I've just got various video ideas over here. Just if I think of something, I have a place to put it. So I have all of March kind of planned out, but I do already want to start planning April because I think being ahead of the game is good for me. So I think that's something that I'll do here in the next couple of weeks to start figuring out what I want to film for the month of April. See, like this needs to be updated because I did my reading recap here, so I'm gonna probably have to come up with a different idea for that one. But that is what I track here. So the last thing that I wanted to show you is a little bit into my Airtable. Like I said, there's a decent amount of like confidential information in here, so I'm kind of gonna bounce around, but this shows you when I open up Airtable what it looks like for me. I do have one client, Nicole, has her own database because I do a lot of different things for her, so I track all of that in a database. And then I've got, I don't know why I called this community work, I truly don't, but this is where I track all of my releases. I have a release day form, so if you're an author and you have a book that you are releasing, every week I post a video, and this week I didn't and I suck. And I'm going to post it with next week's, but I post a video every week of the books that are coming out based on who fills out this form. And so that's where that keeps track of. My influencer database, I truly cannot show you because there's just way too much confidential information for me to like cover up. So just trust that it has like all of my signups. If you sign up for an ARC, a cover reveal, my influencer list, like anything, it goes through that database. And then my authors ones helps me track all of my other clients. So I'll show you my author one. I pulled up an old month so that you could see kind of how things look. But this is like my task list. So when an author fills out my interest form, their result comes here, and that's where I work off of to then send them information and possibly schedule a follow-up call. Then I have a clients tab, which is where I track just the information that I need for my clients, their books, the tasks that I'm doing for them. And then that connects to this tasks calendar where I can track kind of just like everybody and what they're doing. I can go through and like go to each client and see what I have outstanding for them, but then I also just have this high level calendar. Every Monday I have this send me an email that tells me everything that's coming up for the week so that I can just kind of have reminders throughout the week to know what I have to do. So that's the author section. This is where I track all of the releases coming out. So once an author fills out my form, their result comes here. I just review it to make sure it's not a duplicate. And then once I do review it and I click this button, it takes it and puts it onto the public calendar. This is live on my website, but it also, I use it for making my own posts. And then, like I said, I have my own database for Nicole because of the different things that I work on for her. And then also because I'm going on leave, so I wanted her to be able to have access to her own database so I can add things into here so that she can see them. So I've got newsletter swaps that I work on with her. And then I also manage her Facebook group, so that's here. And then once I get all the signups for like her cover reveal, I'll put that on here as well so she can see them. But right now that's in the influencer tab, and eventually I'll migrate it over. So there's not a ton that I do here at the start of every month. I sometimes just go in and like check to make sure everything is up to date. It is helpful for me to kind of just have an overview of the month every time that I go in here. And that's my monthly reset. That is how I reset my life for the month of March. I sometimes do different things. Obviously, I have like non-book things that I do every month, just like cleaning wise, getting life in order, whatnot. But in terms of book stuff, that's what I do. I am obsessed with Notion. I have really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making these pages, and I really just feel like they work very well for me. And I also love that I can look at them on my phone because like if I'm somewhere and I want to start reading a new book, but I don't know what is on my TBR, I can easily like pick those up and check them out there. I hope you had fun. Like I said, this was a very chatty, I never even finished my coffee because I chatted so much. This was a very chatty, yappy vlog, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I love, like I said, watching other creators make content like this, and I just thought the bookish spin would be a fun way to do it and to kind of go through my TBR. If you like this and want to see more of it, I can do them each month, in which case, let's do it. Let's do the monthly resets. Obviously, life is going to continue to transition for me. I am due in June. We're moving into a house that we're building in like August or September, depending on when it gets done. Hopefully that's when we move into it. I hope it's not later. But so we've got a lot of stuff coming up. Resets are probably going to change as life changes, but I do think that this really helps me stay on top of all of the different things that I have to do. So if you've made it this far in the video, I would love it if you left me a comment. Bring back the sun emojis. Let's do the sun emoji again because I need the sun in my life. I'm so sad. It's so snowy outside. It's March. It's not supposed to be snowy. It's not. I know it does. It always snows in March, but I was really hopeful that it wasn't going to this month. And be sure to like this video if you had a great time and subscribe if you aren't already. I don't have any puppies to say goodbye today. They are both sleeping in their respective beds and they are too cozy for me to interrupt them. So you're stuck with me, but I hope you had a good time and I hope you have an amazing March. Bye!